Hey pals! Thanks for joining me for episode 27 of my podcast. It is the one with Paige the Framer, and I am Paige Miller, your host, and you can find me around the interwebs, on all the social medias as Paige the Framer. So for any information, if you'd like to follow me in all of the places, check below. I will link to all that stuff. So welcome! It's been a few weeks since I have recorded a podcast. For, I don't know, a week of it, a little bit longer, 10 days of it, Paul Miller and I were on vacation. And in this episode, you will be seeing some of the footage I took from our backpacking trip and our time spent with family swimming and playing in Lake George. It was so fun. So I hope you enjoy that. We had a great time on our vacation. It was so good to just get away from this place and enjoy ourselves. So, do you remember a couple podcasts ago? I think it was Allison and I were talking about how we prefer swimming in the ocean to lakes because of all the different reasons. If I remember to, I will link up top to that episode so you can check that out and listen to our rant on swimming. But Paul Miller and I were kayaking one day in Lake George. We were in Northwest Bay, and we pulled our little kayaks up onto a bank, and we found these, it was like a really nice grassy area with pine trees, and we brought our lunch and we made a fire and we hung our hammocks. And then we went swimming and we jumped off the rocks. So I would like to say that Lake George is a lake that I love to swim in. In fact, Lake George is such a fabulous lake to swim in that I like it more than the ocean. So I would like to recant my previous opinion on swimming in lakes and let you guys know that a lake like Lake George that is so super deep, the rocks that we were jumping off of and swimming, it was, I don't know, 45, that's 90, 45, was that like 33 degrees? I mean, it was steep and deep. So there were no weeds, no mucky bottom. It was the best. It was so much fun. And then we went backpacking for 2 nights. It was 3 days in the woods, 2 nights sleeping out in our hammocks. It was so fabulous. We walked in about 3.5 miles to a pond, which looked like the size of a lake, but it was a pond. I will show you footage. It was so much fun. It was so much fun. Making a campfire, hanging out with Paul Miller, knitting, napping. Napping in the woods is napping in a hammock in the woods. If you guys tent camp or you don't camp at all, then you will not understand the napping in the woods. But hammock napping in the middle of the woods is maybe one of my favorite things. It was so great. So we had a great time. It was so much fun. It was great to get away. We got back a week and a half ago, so I kind of came back from vacation and hit the ground running as far as catching up with work. And I actually did filmed a podcast last week, but I never got around to editing and uploading it, and I'd say 80% of what I talked about was by now over with, so I'm recording a second time. So here we are. So, things that are coming up and for us to be excited about. Here anyway. If you're local, we have 3 weeks left of beach knitting. For information on beach knitting, you can check out my website, FrameandfiberNJ.com. And I believe, I forget what page it's listed on. I think it's listed on events. So check that out. I'll also link below. It's all linked below. I don't need to tell you all of this stuff. But it's every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. through Labor Day, which means we have 3 Tuesdays left. Oh, can you believe the Tuesdays are almost done? We'll be knitting back at the shop for the rest of the year, but beach knitting sadly will be over. August makes me sad because the days are getting shorter, and those last couple Tuesdays in the summer, you feel it because we have to leave the beach earlier than we have all summer. So it was so much fun. So if you haven't made it out for beach knitting, you still have 3 weeks to go. So please join us. Okay, and then also upcoming September 8th and 9th is the Garden State Sheep Breeders Association. I never know what to call it. The New Jersey Sheep and Fiber Festival, I think, is what they technically call it. It is the 8th and 9th of September, and it is in Hunterdon County, on the Hunterdon County Fairgrounds. And Allison of Daisy Lane Design and I have decided to vend. So I will be vending there. I will show you later on in the podcast some of the fabric mats that I'm working on for that. So if you are local, and Jason's coming in. Hi.
Howdy.
How are you?
Camera.
What is that? The box for the decorator?
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, if you're around and can make it, I'd love to see you there, September 8th and 9th. Are you all set?
All done. Thank you so much.
Come here. Pop your head in. That's Jason. He's the glass guy. I've told you about him.
Please come visit. I'm always there.
Have a good vacation.
Thanks. You too.
I'll see you. All right. So that is it as far as shop stuff, which, all right, it's just one thing, but it's a pretty big thing. I've never vended in any type of capacity at all. So yeah, I'm anxious about it just because I don't know what to expect or prep for. So it's one of those things that I am prepping and making my mats and hoping that people will like them and buy them. It's one of those things too where I feel like if you just see them in passing, you might think that they were made by a manufacturer because I'm so professional. But it's, you know, it's in a white simple frame, and you've got these pretty little mats. And yeah, so if you don't know me, if you're not familiar with me or what's going on here, you would walk past them and not know that they're handmade by a maker. So that has me a little worried, because if people if it's a busy booth and people look at my stuff and I don't have a chance to tell them all about what I do, then they'll look at the price and be like, oh my gosh, because they're probably going to compare this 8x10 mat to an 8x10 mat they could get at Walmart for like $2. So all that kind of stuff is going through my head. So I hope they go over well. If you guys could send out prayers and positive vibes, I'd be much obliged. There he goes. He's going away, so he's leaving me all the things. Your feet sound really funny on the floor.
I was not here. This is the yarn you are looking for.
This is the yarn they're looking for.
Bye.
All right, bye. Oh shoot, happy birthday. Tomorrow's his birthday. We had cake for him yesterday. Well, we had ice cream for him yesterday. So anyway, all of that anxiety with selling for the first time, you know, it's so funny. I'm so used to custom framing that the customers come in, they talk to me, they know that I'm building the frames for them, they can ask me all those questions, so the price tag doesn't scare people. These mats unframed, so it's just the 8x10 mat that will hold a 4x6 frame. These mats unframed I'm selling for $22. So I don't think they're super expensive at all. I think it's a pretty good price point. It's less than a skein of hand-dyed yarn. I'm such a geek. But anyway, so I just have all of this. You know, it's the unknown. I have no idea what to expect. Maybe there will be hordes of people and I will sell out, or maybe the hordes of people will walk by and be like, yeah, that's a stupid thing to sell. I think any of you makers who sell at craft fairs or festivals can relate. Like, I've heard Sue of Legacy Fiber Arts talk about this, about just being nervous and not knowing what to expect. So it's my first time doing it and I'm nervous. So that was a rant and a rave. Ranting and raving. The one with the ranting and the raving? The one when I ranted and raved? Anyway, strike that. Okay, so moving on. Let's talk about some knitting, shall we? Okay. I did get a lot of knitting time in on my vacation. Oh my gosh, it was so good to knit in a hammock in the woods. And it was so good to knit on a couch in a comfy little cottage with my Aunt Tuts, who was crocheting next to me. I love her so much. That's Paul Miller's aunt, Aunt Elaine. Okay, so I was knitting on my sweater. Push my chair back. So I'm working on the Ready for Fall yoked sweater by Isabel Kraemer. I definitely am an Isabel Kraemer fan because the not too recent past I made the A Girl's Best Friend shawl, which was a fabulous knit. So now I'm knitting this sweater, and I am knitting it in Green Mountain Spinnery Comfort Cotton in 4 different colors. The pattern calls for 2 colors. This is a two color colorwork sweater. I didn't buy this yarn with this sweater in mind, so I modified it to use up the yarn that I bought. I think I'm going to like this once it's finished. I like it now, but I don't love it, and I think it's because the bottom band of colorwork really stands out, which is silly because the yoke colorwork also stands out, especially when people don't do cuffs or the bottom rib edging. So, and it's just this block of colorwork or a circle of colorwork around their yoke area. This is a solid yoke. Solid yoke? Yes, solid yoke. With the colorwork at the bottom. So the way Isabel wrote this pattern, ooh, Isabel, as if we're friends. Oh, hello, Isabel. So she wrote this pattern for these circles to be one color, and the background, which I use that mustardy gold color, she had the continual color. It's a it looks great the way she wrote the pattern, and I love it. But I had all of this yarn and I really wanted to use it, so I did that. I do like it. Like, I don't hate it, but it's just like such a big band of color. Let me see. That it's a little bit, I don't know. We'll see. So I'm on the sleeves right now. And what I'm planning on doing is repeating this, but only 2. So I'm going to do the white circle and the green circle. So I'm just going to do that. Or maybe I'll do 3. I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get to the sleeve. But I'm going to add that to the sleeve. So I do have to modify the sleeve a smidge to get the proper stitch count. Which is okay because I'm going to add an extra decrease to get the proper number so that I can make the circles the same size. Which is okay because the sleeves, the size that I'm doing is to take care of my top part, to fit my to fit my top part. So the sleeves I generally have to bring in anyway. They're a little bit too wide, so I think that'll work. And it's really funny. I kind of put off doing the sleeve for a while. Like I finished this color work and I bound off the ribbing on vacation, which was 2.5, 3 weeks ago. Gosh, really that long ago? And I was like, oh, sleeves, blah. I'm having fun doing the sleeves. So I think this will go quick because I am quick-ish. Hopefully I'll have this done. Hopefully I'll have this done in the next week or two, and I'll be able to show you guys the finished object. But I don't have much knitting time because of getting ready for the sheep show. So I'm alternating between this and my Markanda shawl, which I'll show you next. So in the morning I'm knit on my shawl, and in the evenings I'm knitting on the sweater. So I'm not getting much knitting time, but we'll see. I am enjoying this knit a lot. I am in flippin' love with this yarn. In love with this yarn. So, you know, as a yarn shop owner, it's really like I don't sell this here, but I need to be knitting with yarn that I don't sell because I need to experiment and see if I like yarn to then be able to sell in the shop. It's like a it's really hard to do, which is why I'm always thankful to you guys who volunteer your time to make samples for my shop, because there's not enough time in a day to do all of that. So I am loving this yarn, and I think this will be added to my list of yarns that I would like to add to my shop. It's such a beautiful yarn. It is 80% wool and 20% cotton. Gorgeousness. It is on, what am I knitting this on? I'm knitting it on a size 6, US 6, 4mm needle, my Chowgu red lace interchangeable set. Why am I showing that to you? And it lives in my fat squirrel fox and bunny bag. So that is one whip. My second whip I want to show you is the Markanda shawl by Simone, who is the designer behind Owlcat Designs. So you guys will remember that or maybe you won't remember. If you follow me on Instagram, I had put out a call for help because I played Yarn Chicken and desperately lost this game of Yarn Chicken. Like, didn't have enough yarn to continue, and I was nowhere near the end. So I put a call out, and you guys were all so sweet offering up your yarn. However, you either had the color but not the weight, or the weight but not the color. So thank you all for trying to help me. So I did order the yarn, and I ordered it from 2 different shops. I went online and looked around. So I am using Chickadee by Quince & Co. from Quince & Co. And I ran out of the Leek colorway. And I ran out of the Peacoat colorway. Leek I ordered from Wool and Honey, woolandhoney.com, a local yarn shop in, I believe it's Michigan. Thank you so much. I forget their name, so I'm not going to say it because I will butcher it. I want to say Melissa. Don't listen to me. So they sent that out to me, but they didn't have Peacoat. I called them first, and they didn't have this color. So, but they did have the Leek. So I said, oh, what the heck? I'll just order it from them, and I will search out the Peacoat. I called a couple yarn shops, and they didn't have the Peacoat in stock. I went on Quince's website, and they didn't have it in stock. So then I got nervous that they discontinued it. They didn't discontinue it. It's just that it was out of stock. So I finally called Knitwit, which is a yarn shop in Portland, Maine, which is where I bought this yarn in the first place. I should have just called them first. Sometimes my brain doesn't work in proper order. But anyway, I called Knitwit. No, I emailed Knitwit, and the owner, Susie, emailed me back, and she said I was in luck She was just about to email me back and tell me that she didn't have that color in stock because I think maybe their inventory said they didn't have any, and she knew it was out of stock with Quince. And she kind of rummaged through the bin and found one skein tucked away behind all of the other yarn. It may have even been like in the wrong bin. So she saved my life. Well, all right, she didn't save my life, but she saved my shawl. She definitely saved my shawl. Thank you, Susie. And it was really cool. I had a fangirl moment because she emailed me and said, so I'll have Elizabeth call you tomorrow and she'll get your payment, you know, we'll do payment over the phone and we'll ship it out to you. So Elizabeth, who called me, is Elizabeth Smith of the Brown Stitch, who is another designer that I've made a ton of her patterns, and I love the way she writes patterns. So she called my shop. So I got to talk to Elizabeth Smith on the phone. That was stinking cool. I'm such a geek. All right, on to the knitting. So I got my yarn and I've been able to knit. So this is a mosaic knitted shawl. I'm so glad I'm not in the middle of a row. And I only have, I think, 6 more rows to go. But 6 more rows that have, I don't know, this is a 40-inch cable. Okay, there's a shit ton of knitting to be done per row. So let me just show you. I did modify this pattern because of the yarn. I didn't like the way Simone wrote the pattern is these bands are mixed together, all these colors, where instead of putting the background color in, what am I trying to say? You put this color, oh, I'm gonna lose a battery, son of a gun, and this color is together in 2 of these bands, and I did not like that. I didn't like the way they looked together, so I ripped it out, and now I did 1 of each color. And then down here it was the same thing. It was supposed to be this clay color and leek, but I just didn't like that, so that's what I ended up with. That was my modification, was changing the way the colors worked together. So now I'm on this last bit of mosaic. Oh my gosh, do you see it? It's so stinking pretty. I will be doing a mosaic class. I think, is it this Sunday? No, I forget. I have a ton of classes scheduled. If you are local and would like to take some classes, check out my website, and I believe the classes are listed under events as well. So this is Quince Chickadee and the Peacoat and Leek, and then we've got Petal, and we've got Clay. This will be a finished object very soon. It is a fun and quick knit. This would have been done ages ago if I didn't, you know, flip-flop back and forth with all the color, and if I bought the correct amount of yarn. Oh my gosh. Squishy Chickadee is definitely one of my favorites. So I would just like to put it out there that if anyone watching, that guy needs a new muffler. If anyone watching works for Quince, knows the owner of Quince, has any pull with Quince, could you please drop my name and tell them I'm obsessed with their yarn and that they need to sell it here? Thanks. It's so great. It's so pretty. Such a beautiful design. I can't wait to have it done. I'm gonna have a lot of finished objects for Rhinebeck. Okay. I think that's it. I knit everything on ChowGoo interchangeables at this point. So this is being knit on a size 4, 3.5 millimeter. Red lace, ChowGoo, living in my Daisy Lane design medium project bag. This is part of a set that she made for me, that she sells, but she made this one for me. And it's a big tote bag that has several matching project and notion bags. Oh, that's so cool. So that is that one. Oh, my battery's blinking. Okay, final FO. Oh yes, I didn't, no, it's not an FO. It's a whip. All works in progress. I have nothing finished. I cast on my 4th mitten, my 4th Skeindeer Selby Mitten Club pattern. This is the Flora mitten by Skeindeer. I am knitting it in Cascade 220. It is a light worsted. I am a pretty loose knitter, and I thought maybe it would be a bit of a stretch to put them together, but I've got gauge, so we're going with it. It's a light worsted. It's almost DK. I don't think it's a big deal. So there we are. Oh my gosh, do you see that cuff? It's the prettiest cuff. So I am teaching a class, a colorwork class, and I'm using Skeindeer, the Skeindeer Knits Selby Mitten pattern to teach it. And it's fun to, why am I telling you that? I guess I'm just telling you I'm teaching a colorwork class. That could be it. So there's the cuff. I just cast these on. I wanted this to be my entry into the summer knit along, hosted by Denise of the Earth Tones Girl podcast and Rachel of the Treehouse Knits podcast. But I couldn't get my act together in time, so there we are. It's nice to be knitting this though while I'm teaching the class, because there's time in between, so I can be working on a mitten with my class. So that's fun. Like I said, Cascade 220, Skeindeer Knits pattern. And this is living in my Stitch and Use project bag. Stitch and You project bag. I can't speak in English. It's my bee bag, one of my most favorites. Those are my works in progress. Had to switch to my phone. My battery died. Moving on. Alright, so those are my whippos. My whippos. Whippos. Whippo. I have no finished objects. Which brings me to... I'm so busy right now. I want to add something to it. I want to host a knit along. I want to host a finish along. A FAL. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's fiber related. I don't care what it is. Let's finish our crap together. So I think you saw in my finished objects, which I showed you finished, damn it, I wish. No, whips, works in progress, my projects. I showed you the 3. They are all using my ChowGoo interchangeable needles. I have 2 pairs of socks on needles right now. I have a doll, a crocheted doll that needs hair and an outfit. I have spinning that I really want to get finished because it's on my old spindle, drop spindle. I spin on a drop spindle. And I bought a new one in Maryland, and I won't let myself use it until I finish what I have going, so I need to finish that. And there's something else that I have going. There's another project. And then the 3 that I showed you. I need to free up some needles because I love my ChowGoo needles. I don't actually have a lot of needles. I don't have a huge stash of needles that I can just have tons of projects. Also, I don't have a huge stash of bags, so I need to free up some bags as well. Although Needles Up is coming, so I can buy, and Rhinebeck, so I could buy myself some prize bags. So, how about you guys? We are in August. It is August, and I'm assuming by now you've started your holiday gift giving, knitting, making, or maybe you have it planned and you need to get started on it. I want to get some of this stuff out of the pipeline, and add some new things that I can do specifically for friends and family. So would you like to join me in finishing together? please join me. There will be prizes, lots of prizes. We need incentive people to get this shit finished. Sorry I'm cussing. I'm sorry. Finish with me, will you? So the finish along, I would like it to end September 21st. So let's get all of our as many finished objects as we can finish by the last day of summer or the first day of fall, however you want to look at it. Let's finish the summer on a high note together. That way we can set ourselves up for success for our fall and winter knitting. Okay, so the rules for this knit along, this make along, I'm going to call it a make along again because there's no rule as far as what you are making. Knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, rug hooking, whatever it is. Yeah, let's finish it all together. So there's no rule as far as what you're making. And I think it should be obvious, if I'm calling it a finish along, that its whips are completely allowed. In fact, fabulously allowed. Fabulously finishing our stuff together. Oh, I stopped myself. I mean, you literally can say, you know what, that sock that I have, or that pair of socks have been sitting around for 2 months. All I need to do is add a toe. Great. You have to bind off a project. Great, enter it. It does not matter. Basically, there are no rules. The only rule, basically, well, all right, there's one rule, basically. It ends on September 21st. That's when it ends. So on Instagram, I will be drawing prizes from Instagram and Ravelry. I'll start a thread on Ravelry, and it's just going to be one thread. There's no need for a, whips and FO. Just post in that thread a picture of the finished object, the said finished object. And then on Instagram, we will use the hashtag #FinishAlong or FinishAlong 2018 or FNF. I'm going to look on Instagram, and when I figure out what the hashtag is, I'll put it right there. Right there. No, right there, right there. So yeah. And I'm sure you guys, there are so many knit-alongs happening right now that I'm sure you're involved in all of them. So every single project that you have going right now that is for another knit-along, double dip and add it to mine. It doesn't matter. Pass it along to your friends. So prizes will be, I know I had some yarn donated by some dyers. I have buttons donated by Natalie from Remembrance Pottery. I have some sewn pouches and DPN holders. I have needles. What else do I have? I have knitty mats. Oh, did we even talk about that? Holy mackerel, we didn't talk about that. Guys, I named my mats. No, I didn't name them knitty mats. I call them knitty mats, but I didn't name them knitty mats. Right, I'm going to finish with the FO first. Or, son of a gun. I'm going to finish with the finish along. Let's finish that, and then I'll move on to telling you what I came up with for the framed mats. Okay, so the finish along. Is that all we need to say? That's all we need to say. Join me. It'll be great. Tons of prizes. Yay. Moving on. All right, we're going to go back to these. I know I showed them to you in the beginning, but I'm going to talk about them again. Because I want to thank you guys for all of your advice and all of your cute, clever, and punny names that you came up with. And I'm not picking the most popular one, believe it or not. The one that is shocking that I didn't come up with myself. Tons of you had mentioned calling them fiber frames, which is great because obviously I'm frame and fiber and it's perfect. But the reason why I'm not going with anything that has anything to do with any F words is because I actually want to make these so that they're not tied to the frame shop. the yarn shop, to Frame and Fiber, because I'm being optimistic, and if they go over well and maybe other local yarn shop owners like them, they would want to sell them in their stores. And so if I name them Frame and Fiber, Fiber Frames, I feel like it's too close to the name of my shop, and maybe they wouldn't want that in their shop. So I am naming them something different. However, it was, I think it was, yep, I wrote it down, Shell. Okay, there was a comment on one of my, there was 2 posts that, or 2 videos that I got comments on for the names. And Shell cracked me up because she was like, you should call them Frame and Fiber Fiber Frames. I love that. It makes me giggle. I'm not calling it that because of what I just told you, but that's a good one. So thanks, Shell. And then Donna Marie came up with a really good one, which I think would be, well, she came up with one that's called, with the name Framed by Knits. Framed by Knits. That's a good name too. Not using that. Oh, and the reason why I'm not using that one is because I'm not selling them all framed. I'm selling some of them just the mats, because I do want a couple different price points for people. Also, you may have 15 8x10 frames laying around your house in the basement with old pictures. You can reuse them by putting my mats in them. So I want to sell just the mats, and so in that case, they're not frames, they're just mats. So then that brings me to Linda, who had me dying laughing with her names. She is the one who said knitty mats, like kitty cats, or knit mats. Break me off a piece of that knit mat bar. No, she didn't say that. She did not say that. I said that, and that was corny. But knit mats, that's what I'm going with. I'm going with knit mats. I like knitty mats the best, but I thought maybe that's too cutesy and people wouldn't like that. Plus, it's like easier to just print out on my little tags knit mats instead of knitty mats. Whatever. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with knit mats. So these were a few that I just did today. No, I didn't do these today. I did these yesterday. Today's Saturday. So I wanted to show you some of these. Oh, I don't really, oh, this isn't my phone. This is my phone. Rats. My camera takes such better pictures. All right, well, whatever. So this is, the lighting's all bad. Look at that cute little pink frame. Isn't that cute? I love it. So that's pink. I called it a frame. It's a mat. It's a knit mat. Allison loves this one. She loves it because the knit stitches are ginormous. See how small they are on this one? They're so big. And then this is kind of cool too because it's like in the middle of the two. We've got small knit stitches, medium, and super. Haha, we've got fingering weight. We've got, that's an Aran weight. And we've got bulky. I think this is a fabulous mat. It's a really cool one. So those were the ones that I did yesterday. Not just for, I mean, I did a ton of them, but. And then I've had some crocheters ask me why I don't have any crochet fabric. And the short answer, well, there's no short answer. Is there really ever a short answer? The answer to that question is I buy scraps from Jody Brown of Mrs. Brown's Bags. Jody of the Grocery Girls. I buy scraps from her. So it's whatever she sends me. I don't pick the fabric. I just get a huge bundle and that's what I'm working with. So she sent me some crocheted fabric, but there wasn't as much of this as the knitting, so there's not as many crocheted ones, but oh, that is good. I hope you guys like them. I hope the people will like them. I hope they get bought. So I'm just being so insecure. So let me show you what they look like on the back. That is the fabric wrapped around. That's the cut edge. So the way I make these, and I probably should do videos on this in the future, There's two different ways of making these. There's two different ways to make the mats. Right now I'm doing it a mitered corner, which is where I cut the fabric on a 45-degree angle. And the reason why I'm doing that is with Mrs. Brown's fabric scraps. She sends me scraps and they're about, I don't know, 9 inches wide, but they're not cut straight, they're not square. And then they're super long. And so to maximize my usage of the fabric, I cut them into 3-inch strips that I put adhesive on the back of the fabric, and I adhere, well, there's so much cutting involved, so I have to cut this, I cut the strips, cut them square, and then I cut 45-degree angles. And then I add the adhesive to the fabric, and then that's when I line them up, and I am a 45-degree master. I'm a miter master. Oh, is that the name of this? Am I the miter master? The one with the miter master? I am a miter master for real. That is my job. My job is 45-degree angles. So I've been cutting them to fit that way. That's how I've been cutting them. Generally the way I would wrap mats in fabric, because wrapping mats in fabric is not a new thing. Picture framers do them all over the country, all over the world, because it's a very traditional way of framing watercolors, pastels, like original works of art. Oils even, you just wouldn't use glass. So it's traditionally done that way, but we don't cut mitered corners for picture framing mats. We add the adhesive to the mat, and then we lay the fabric down and we cut out the center and we trim the sides, and so there won't be any slices here. So I'm doing this. This is a long-winded explanation of what I'm up to. But I'm going to finish because I'm almost done. So there's two different kinds of fabric wraps mats that I'll be doing. Mrs. Brown's scraps will be done with mitered corners because it uses up the fabric efficiently. And then next week I'll show you what I'll be working on that are not mitered, and it's because I bought some cool knitty / fiber / sheepy related fabric from Spoonflower, and I'm mounting those next week, so I will show you them. So I am planning on having a lot of unframed mats for sale, and then also framed mats. Framed ones that are just ready to go. You just plug your picture in, plop it up on your shelf. I'll have more unframed because obviously they're going to be less expensive than the picture framed ones. But even the picture framed ones, they're less than $50. So again, that's less than 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn. And it's a lot of work. They're really pretty. I'm really excited. I'm also nervous. I hope you like them. Tell your friends. They're great Christmas gifts for your maker friends. All right, I'm going to stop plugging them. I'm such a geek. All right, so finally, in this last little bit of chatting that I want to do with you, I wanted to ask for some advice on classes. So this fall or this summer, I decided, or in the spring, I decided that the summer was when I was going to kick off my new class schedule for the summer, and that I was going to offer a ton of classes twice a week and give people time and time and variety in the classes. So I have a bunch of different classes, and like the other day I did one. It was a discussion class on gauging, swatching. I've got the Selby Mittens class. So that was color work. I have hat classes, scarf classes, that kind of stuff, beginner classes. So the one that I'm wanting to ask you guys about is my short rows class. Oh, excuse me. So I'm doing a short rows class, and I'm second guessing what I've decided to do. So I picked the Color Affection Shawl by Vera Valimaki. I'm imagining you've at least heard of that if you haven't knitted already. If you haven't heard of it, please go check it out. It is a fabulous shawl. I think it was, I don't know, it's probably like, I doubt it, it's probably not 10 years old, but it's more than 5 years old. It's been around forever. It's been around for a while, and it's just a fun knit, and it incorporates short rows. It's a great garter stitch, pretty easy shawl. And I thought, oh, it's just the short rows in it. Do I even have my, I don't know where the sample is. I think the sample's in the back. But, oh, it's right here in front of my face. So the short rows, you can see where the short rows start. So I have a lady signed up. She bought the yarn, she started, and I'm glad there's just one lady signed up for this first class because I'm second guessing. So there's a lot of knitting that you have to do before we get to the short row section. That's why I'm second guessing this, because I think most people do not want to do all of this knitting before they get to short rows, like before they get to their class. So she and we've talked about it, and we're going to go ahead with it because she wants to make this shawl, and she's never carried yarn up the sides. I'm going to teach her that. So cool, great. I don't think this is a good pattern for teaching short rows. Again, because of all of the knitting you have to do before you get to the short rows. So my question to you guys, have you recently done a pattern, a small pattern, that has short rows that you think would be a good class or workshop type pattern to work from? I mean, I guess I could do socks, I could do short row heel. I don't know. I don't know. And then I'm thinking, maybe, do you think if you took a short row class, do you think it would be fine if I just had you come to the class with scrap yarn and we swatched and I taught you how to do wrap and turns, German short rows, the different types of wrapping and turning and doing short rows? Maybe that's all it is. Maybe I'm overthinking it and it just needs to be, hey, come to class with worsted weight yarn and we will make a swatch of the different kinds, yada, yada, yada. So would you let me know your opinion, what you think would be best if you've taken a short rows class, all of that good stuff. Please comment below. And then I did a gauge class. It was really cool. So I want to do these classes that I'm calling Let's Chat. And I want the Let's Chat to be like tech talks where we discuss technique or design or construction. And I thought gauge would be, I think the gauge chat should be ongoing forever because it's always a talk we should have. We should be doing it constantly. I mean, you guys saw with this sweater, if you watched the previous episodes, how I make 1,000 swatches. But it went well. It was a really good class, and so if you have any suggestions on what would make a good discussion class, it was a workshop in that I had scrap yarn and we did do swatches together, so it won't be just a sitting down listening to me talk. There will be some knitting involved, but if there's anything that you think would be a good tech talk type of a class, please give me your advice. I think that's all I have to say. Oh no, there's not. I wanted to show you. So this finishing the finish along that I want us to do together, I want to get some of this stuff off the needles because I want to cast on some new things. And these colors came in. This is Luna Gray Fiber Arts, and this is in her Nova Worsted. It is 100% merino wool. It is not superwash, but it is squishy and delicious. And this color, or these 4 colors came in, and I love them so much, and I want to do something with them. And then I saw that Legacy Fiber Arts is offering worsted weight yarn in their gorgeous hand-dyed colorways. And They have a couple colorways that I think would look incredible. Maybe not that one, maybe these three. With these three colors, there's one in particular, and it was, is it Luke? No, it's not Luke. It's Logan. It's one of their Gilmore Girls, Guys of Gilmore Girls colorways. Men of Stars Hollow. That was the line of colors that they did. And so I think these colors with a legacy worsted weight skein would be really cool to do the Golden Hour shawl by Andrea Mowry. It is a big, like, warm wintertime shawl. I can't remember how many colors it calls for, but I think mixing a hand dyed with some of, and this is hand dyed too, it's just that these are more tonal, and these are not dyed on superwash, these are dyed on non-superwash, and non-superwash will fibers take the color completely different, but I think these would look really nice with one of the speckly goodnessy from Legacy. So that's here. You can call me up if you want to buy any of this, or you can check out lunagrayfiberarts.com. Beautiful yarns. And then I just got new to the shop. Oh! Actually, it's new to the world, I think. I think this is, they just released this summer, I think TNNA. I could be lying. Anyway, let me show you this. So this is called Andorra, and it is made by Kelborn Woolens. Kelborn Woolens is located in Pennsylvania, and they distribute yarns. They're distributing some new yarns that I will also be carrying, but I'll talk about them when they get here. I want to talk about Andorra. So Andorra is a 60 merino, 20 Highland wool, and 20 mohair blend. And this palette kills me. Now I wish I had the camera instead of my phone, because the colors and texture, you will not really be able to tell how beautiful they are. They're incredible. I am wanting to cast something on. They sent me some sample or photographs of samples knit in this, and there's a colorwork hat, and I can't remember who it's by, but I want to cast on a hat using these 4 colors. I think it'd be so pretty. Gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. It's a sport weight, so I have that here at the shop. Oh, the bad part? Not the bad part. Adding new yarns, I love. Adding new yarns to my Etsy shop, I do not love, because I have to take the pictures, write the listings, edit the listings, yada, 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 yada. It takes me so long to do. It's just frustrating. So I want to get them up on my Etsy, but it might be a while. I have so many new colorways in my Malabrigo Rios and Cascade 220, Luna Gray, Kelborn. They're also sending me other yarns that I have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff. I need to take pictures. So if ever I talk about anything and it's not in here on in the podcast and it's not listed in my Etsy shop, please feel free to contact me. And we can talk. That was shameless plugging, right? Shameless plugging? Shamelessly plugging? I need to go. You guys need to go. I'm hungry. I need to eat lunch. No dinner. It's dinner at this point. So thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy the footage from my vacation. It was a blast. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now. Oh. Thumbs up. And subscribe. Okay, bye. Hey, pals.
Hey, pals.
Me and Paul Miller. Oh, let me take that off so you can see me. Oh, my hair is a mess. So it goes into
Lake George.
Lake George. It's part of Lake George, I guess. I'm putting my hat back on, guys. Tried to keep it off, but
On
it didn't
the
work.
inner part of Tongue Island.
Ew.
Or, it's not an island.
Mountain.
Tongue Mountain.
It's disgusting.
It's not disgusting. It's just
I don't like the
name.
name of it.
Just stop.
So let me give you guys a 360 of where we are. Oh, I look great. Hey pals! Here I am in my campsite. There's Paul Miller. He's building our fire. And back behind me is our pond. 1 hour pond. 1 hour photo. And then back there is my hammock. So, I'm taking the video now. It's probably 7 o'clock, babe?
Sure.
We got into camp around 1:30, but it was raining. So he and I quick set up our hammocks. So this one's mine. You can still see there's lots of water on my tarp. And here, that's my hammock set up. And then Paul Miller's down the hill from me. We've got our water filtration. Water is full for tomorrow morning for breakfast, so we're all set. Water bottles are full. Paul Miller's hammock. He's got the War Bonnet bridge hammock, and I've got the War Bonnet. Babe, what's the name of my hammock?
Sorry, say that again?
Name of my hammock?
Yours is a blackbird.
Blackbird. I always want to say the Superfly. And Mo, do you have any food in your bag or anything? That's Miller's pile of crap. I just caught a chipmunk in it. So this is the lake. Let me turn this off and I'll walk down there and show you guys the lake. Hanging out in camp. So this camp is, what was it, 3.5 miles?
Yeah, 3.5 miles.
So we did 3.5 miles today, which isn't that much, but when you're old and busted like we are, that's just right. Okay, so this is the pond that we are staying at. The Williams here. When we walked in, it didn't look like much gets, or the path gets used that much, so I can't imagine us seeing any people today. Yeah, so it was a really good hike. It was very wet. We were in lots of rain, but we're super dry now. And when we got into camp, we set up, we ate some lunch, and then we napped for 2 hours. It was pouring rain at that point, so really there wasn't much to do but nap. So it's finally dry, but the fire, unfortunately, is very wet, so I don't know how long it'll last. We actually had to start it using some heat, which is the alcohol that I use for my alcohol stove for cooking. So, yeah. That's that. So it's day 2.
Day 2.
It was pretty rainy this morning.
but it's gonna wait for a little while. Still cloudy. Hoping
feels
it'll
warm
burn
now.
off. Yeah, it feels like it's warmer. Hopefully it'll burn off.
Yeah.
We'll get a little sun,
We had lots of trees fall in the nighttime.
which we've never heard before, so it scared the Jesus out of us.
Lots of trees, like 3 trees.
Right.
But it was super windy
Super windy. Yeah.
and rainy. But I was dry in my hammock.
Me too. Comfy.
Yeah.
It's probably warmer than
Yeah.
it needed to be, but it was definitely better than being cold.
And then Paul Miller came over and visited me. And we had breakfast.
Yeah.
He visited me as in we both have our own hammock
Down the street.
down the street.
You know, we're neighbors.
And then we walked around the lake. This lake. I have no idea what they're seeing.
Yeah, or if they're getting sick.
Right. That's our water filter. And then, what else?
What about the lean-to?
Oh yeah, we went and visited the lean-to. It was really pretty.
It's probably the nicest lean-to I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, me too. It was fancy, especially all the way out here. It's crazy.
It's like the log cabin of lean-tos.
No people.
No,
Not much wildlife. I think it's because of the weather. They're all hunkered down. Hunker down, babe.
Hunker down.
We collected our wood for tonight's fire.
Yep.
And we'll have lunch soon.
We're ridiculously quiet here.
So beautiful.
All you hear is wind.
And birds.
Yeah, barely even
The loons
birds.
have been calling.
Oh, that's true. When they feel like it.
So, anything else you have to add to our
No.
recap of day 2?
No, we lived. We
We
lived
lived.
through our first day.
It's beautiful.
So it's good. Alone in the wilderness.
This is totally
Actually, we're not
alone in
alone.
the wilderness.
We're together.
That's
Together
right.
in the wilderness.
Together in the wilderness. It is lovely.
It is lovely.
We're 3.5 miles in
Yep.
from, it's funny, we're 3.5 miles in from 13th Lake, which is like a couple miles in from, you have to drive on a dirt road to get to 13th Lake,
Right.
and then you hike in to our pond. So here we are. No people,
No people at all.
except for us, and you guys.
Yep. And you guys. Thanks
Ciao.
for coming.
Bye guys.
Bye. Hi, everybody. Just enjoying some banana pudding under, a nice thunderstorm. That's all. It's all good.
Cheers!
Oh, and tea. Suki time tea. It's delicious.
Hey pals. It's pouring rain. So I'm in my hammock, escaping the sudden downpour. Paul Miller's in his hammock. So I'll show you the inside of my hammock. Alright, let's take a tour. So this is the top side of my hammock. This is my headlamp. It's hanging on my wrist line. That right there is my top. And then, let's see, my top goes all the way around. Goes all over me. And then that right there this is my top quilt. Bug net, which I don't really need right now. And that's my view. It's fabulous. How loud is that rain, right? So I'll be knitting for quite some time. Alright, that's all I have.
I'm Luke, and I'm gonna jump. But not on my head. Okay. I'm gonna go over it. Okay, over my head. That's how you jump. Yeah.
Let's kick. Like, yeah.
Well, you gotta do a flying twist kick.
Flying?
Flying. Well, you're jumping, so you'll be flying through the air. Do it. Flying twist, jumping kick, like a ninja, backflip.
How about you high five on your way into the water?
While you're jumping, flipping, kicking.
Ready?
Go ahead, flying jump kick.